Hi, I'm Dina Sowers, and thank you for watching my podcast. I'm a real estate agent here in Southwest Florida, and I am joined today by Wendi Green. She works at Young Living. She also is a certified natural health professional, so she's got the credentials to talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is treating bug bites naturally um, instead of over-the-counter sort of solutions. We're going to try and treat your itches and bug bites naturally. Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm glad to be here. We're going to have some fun in the sun as we talk about how to take care of those pesky little critters that we have here in Florida.
Yeah, and the bugs are particularly bad in the summer in Florida because it's rainy season here, and so it's excellent breeding ground for all those biting insects.
Yes.
So, Wendi, what are some of the ways that you can treat different insect bites or really any sort of bite that you have?
Well, one of the first things I'd like to tell your listeners about is bentonite clay. It's a powder that you can get. I'll put it down so you can see. And it has, first of all, I want to tell you that this is actually made right here in the United States. A lot of people don't know it, but it's volcanic ash is what it's actually made of. And it's from Fort Benton, Wyoming, which is where it got its name, which I think is rather cool that we have a U.S. product that we can
That
get
is cool.
about. And it's one a lot of people, it has many uses and they may not know exactly how to use them. But for insect bites, which is one of the topics we're talking about today, is poison ivy and poison oak, first of all, before we get into the bites, because if you're out camping or wandering around, you might run into some of those things like that. And so the first thing you want to do is, of course, wash your skin with soap and water. And then you want to mix some of this clay with a little bit of water. And you want it to form like a thick paste. And you want to apply it over the area and then wrap it with a clean bandage. And you want to repeat this several times a day. And of course, wash it off with warm water. And you want to do this for as long as you have the rash. But it should keep itching. Will help with the itchingness of that and the redness and the swelling, because what the clay does, it actually removes and pulls out those toxins that we have in our body. Bentonite clay has been used for thousands of years, so it's definitely safe and very good to use. Has a variety of issues and ways that you can use it.
I
Now,
actually am familiar with bentonite clay. I have used it many times, and I swear that it has kept me from having to go to the doctor before because I get the bites and then they get infected and they're so itchy and then they get swollen. And so I know that, I'm headed towards infection at that point, when your
right.
skin is all red and puffy and stuff. So that was when I first discovered bentonite clay. And I did that. I used a little paste on it and it pulled it right out. And it's kind of amazing because when you use it, you can tell when it's done working because it stops being wet.
Right.
While it's still working, the parts where it's pulling out all the toxins stays a little moist and the rest will dry up. So you'll have like a little a spot, like if it's just a little small bite or something, it'll be like in a little circle. And right in the center of the circle, it'll still remain a little bit wet all of the time. And I don't know if that's officially the reason, but it seems like until you get bentonite clay that's completely dry all over, you need to continue to keep putting it on, like you said.
Correct. And that is a good way to tell if it's ready to be washed off or in how it's working. Now with bug bites, you want to make sure you cover it. Like for example, it might be just a little pinhole of a no-see-um or insect bite, but you want to go out a 1-inch diameter around that bite when you apply it. And then you want to cover it with either some plastic wrap or actual bandage and then rinse it off with the water when it
Oh,
does that.
really? Okay.
One's a little bit different that you want to go out that far. You want it to dry. Like I said, you can wrap it. If your legs were covered in these bites, then you
Mm-hmm.
see wrapping it with plastic wrap rather than a band-aid for
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 bites. And then you can also make a paste up of warm water, some olive or grapeseed oil, and mix that clay and cover it, of course, generously. So the olive oil will give it a little bit of a moisture to your skin, especially if it was really irritated. And then that one you would want to rinse off with warm water with the bug bites.
It is very drying. So, you know, that's one of the things that it does. It soaks up the moisture. So that's a good tip about the oil. I never even thought about doing that.
A lot of people use it on acne because it is drying. If it's someone, you know, a teenager with oily skin, and that's one that's used.
That's a great use. And when I had acne, and luckily I don't have it anymore, but when I did have acne, I definitely think I would have benefited from that. And if you have acne, go ahead and try it. Leave some comments for us, see if it works. Obviously, you don't want to do it during the day when you're out and about. People will be like, there's something on your face, dude. But you know, try it when you're at home at night. Try it at night. Why not? I mean, you might get a little bit of bentonite clay on your sheets, but other than that, it's not going to hurt you, and it might help you. And why not try some of these natural healing ways to start with that?
Right.
Don't start with antibiotics and a bunch of chemicals. Start with some of these natural products and see how that goes first.
I make a face mask using the bentonite clay, and you know, those masks, you wait for them to dry and then you wash them off. Well, that's what they're using in these masks that you may be paying a lot of money for. Or if you're going to a spa, you're paying, you know, $100 to have these, you know, them to put this on. You can make these right at home and use them. So
that's true. That's a really good point. Like, you can give yourself your own little homemade facial, right? So much cheaper. And plus it's great to have the bentonite clay on hand anyway. So, you know, that's a good excuse to go buy it. I'm just gonna, you know, see if it can help with my pores and things, or my acne. And then you have it in your cupboard for when you actually need it, for when you have some sort of bite and you don't even know what bit you, and, you know, or poison ivy. Like, I discovered it after my last batch of poison ivy. So I didn't know about it then, but I wish I had. I had tried everything, but bentonite clay is amazing because the minute you put it on your skin, the itch is gone. It's so amazing.
And especially with kids, wouldn't that be wonderful? Because that's the one thing they're usually dancing around crying about.
Right.
And you know, you might not want to keep this big jar, even though it's plastic, in your car. So what you just scoop it out in something small and keep it as part of your first aid kit that you take to the beach or take to the park or whatever. Just put it in your little first aid kit in the car, just a little bit of it, because it doesn't necessarily take much, and it will at least triage you enough to before you can get home, or before you had to go into the hospital if it was something severe.
Right. That's a great idea. Now, can you take bentonite clay internally? We talked about externally.
You can. There are many uses. I have not tried this, but I've also been told that one of the uses is for something like diarrhea. And you actually mix that with water. And you want to, I believe let me look that up to be sure, but I believe it's 1 teaspoon mixed in water, and drink no more than twice a day.
Okay.
So
I've never tried it internally, but there's nothing in it that's going to hurt you. It is pure clay. That's it. That's all that's in it. There's one ingredient.
Right. When you have something like diarrhea or a bite or something like that, you have a toxin, and what this is doing is it's getting rid of the toxins naturally.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on to some of the other natural remedies that you have. Do you have any other things for us that we could try?
Well, of course, essential oils. There are some great essential oils out there. They're usually, people think of essential oils and they automatically think of lavender. That's one of the #1 oils in the world is lavender. In fact, we call it our Swiss Army knife of oils. It's one of those that can be used for just about everything. It's great for relieving that itch naturally because it soothes the skin. A quick story about a lavender, why I always keep it in my kitchen. My aunt had an iron skillet. She had it in the oven, forgot that she had her oven on, reached down and grabbed that iron
Oh
skillet.
my
The
gosh.
temperature set at 400 degrees. You can imagine how hot it was. She grabbed it. We crossed her hand. We just poured lavender on it. Did it about 3 times. Never blistered up. Never scarred.
What?
Everybody ought
Wow.
to have
That's
lavender.
amazing.
Ought to have lavender in their kitchen. I put
Okay.
it there because you never know.
Okay.
It's great for sunburns as
Uh-huh.
well. But one of the interesting number one oils that people will not necessarily think about for insect bites is rosemary.
Oh, yeah, I
Okay, it
didn't know that.
smells great. Most people when they think of rosemary think of what?
I I think of beef. They always stick a sprig of it in the beef.
Oh yes, or Italian food. People
Oh, yeah.
you pick an Italian food. But and we think it smells wonderful, but to mosquitoes and insects, it has a very strong aroma and it actually deters them from landing on you.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, we all want them to go
Yeah.
away, land on us, stay away from us. So, rosemary is one.
So that's like preventing instead
Yes.
of treating.
Yes. It's like a preventative. When you're outside, you want to, maybe mix some with some little bit of witch hazel, and then you can kind of spray yourself down. You will smell like an Italian restaurant, maybe, but
Perfect. Just
all
get out the
right. The
bread.
next exactly. Citronella. Most people know about that because you can buy citronella candles and things everywhere. The problem with buying a lot of those things is they're artificial scented. They're not
Hmm.
naturally, says made with essential oils or made, but a lot of these things have so many chemical scents, man-made scents instead of the natural ones.
And you're breathing that in. That's probably not good.
Yes, exactly. What's really cool about the citronella is it actually masks the scent that attracts mosquitoes to you, so they'll stay further away from you, which is
Oh.
why when you burn the candles, or I put it in a diffuser and burn it out on my porch or out in my driveway or wherever we're going to be, I actually do that because it doesn't necessarily repel them from you, but it keeps them away from your area because they don't like the smell of that.
So we have about 5 minutes left. So if you could talk to us about some of the Young Living products, I know they have some prevention products as well as treatment products, right?
Sure. Well, we do have an insect repellent that they make. It's you can get it in a liquid. It's kind of like a lotion, or you can. We have the little wipes too that you can just pull out. That are easy to carry with you. They're 100% plant based. They have a citrusy top aroma. There's no paraffins, fillers. There's no chemicals. It's a non-greasy formula. Can be used on pets and children. Especially around the ears and things like that they might be bothered with. So this is a really good insect repellent. I make well, actually, they have a lavender cooling spray, which is good for when you've been out in the sun and have to, like I was out not very long ago, got a little too much, sprayed myself down. This is made with lavender and lavandin, two different types. They're not the same. People confuse them as being the same. And then I met my peppermint cooling spray is another one that I make that I just use peppermint oil to kind of cool down. But those are some great products that they have that are already made up for those who are not interested in doing a DIY, even though you can cover yourself and the bites in like purification, lemongrass, some of those others that are really good for any kind of insect bites.
Okay, thank you. So you can follow Wendi on Facebook, and her handle is Honey Walker. And so follow her on Facebook, or you can send her an email, and all of this will be down in the notes as well. So take a look down in the notes after you hit the subscribe button, of course. But her email is txwalker60@hotmail.com. and reach out to her for, these recipes, because she's got all these recipes for yeah, yes, for the do-it-yourselfer. But what I like to do is I like to reach out to Wendi and say, could you just do it for me and send it to me? So you can do that as well. So Wendi will make it for you and send it to you if that's what you want.
Gladly.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I think we're going to probably do some more podcasts. So go ahead and look on my channel and see all the ones that we've done so far. Thanks, Wendi.
Thank you.